Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. This is going to be the last installment of the Guru build. Don't mind all these other parts. I'm just my extension spring latex tube blaster is getting a little bit of a tune-up. I broke some parts on it, but anyway, not important. I'll show you the internal, show you what I did, and then we'll do my final thoughts. Oh, there goes the spring. So anyway, supports, like you've already saw, they held on pretty good. Of course, we have a polycarbonate trigger. This is all milled, of course, milling machine. Polycarbonate catch, polycarbonate pull. This is just 3/8 polycarbonate. This was hand done, like the slots done on the mill, and the outside is done on the mill, but a lot of it's hand finished. But anyway, an improvement to this one is a lot of people, when they do these, they just tap this part and then thread a piece of threaded rod in, which is fine, but it eventually does pull out and break. So I have a nut on the back. That's why I sort of redesigned this. This is loosely based on the stock one, but there's been a couple changes so that I can move closer to these two pins, and a couple changes to make it easier to mill. Like this is now straight and this is straight, whereas before it was like a wavy shape. And then I added a flat spot in here for a nut. If you could like get a fastener in there, that would be fine too, but I didn't want to like try and, you know, fish a fastener in there. So I just got a threaded rod. This is tapped, and then this is a nut to sort of take up the force. Anyways, all 1/2-inch polycarbonate, and this is adhered to the plunger tube with 100% glue. This is good for polycarbonate when you want the glue to be clear. In the States, this is called go-to glue. But anyway, spring rests are 1/2-inch polycarb, and then I have another 1/2-inch polycarb block over here to help with anti-rotation, and it takes up some of the forward force. And then now underneath this, I'm not going to take this out, but underneath this, inside the tube, there's a spring guide that stops the spring from buckling in the rear, and that is also tapped as well. So there's a good amount of plastic here for the screw to tap into, so hopefully it does take some of the forward force. And now, as far as the split fire goes, it is stock for the most part. It's just a rebarrel. There is no plugged pump or anything. I relubed the whole thing. Everything else is stock. I'm not going to open the split fire. It's kind of annoying to get the spring on there, but I will show you the barrel system. It's just some 3/4 OD 5/8 ID polyester tubing, and then I have a polycarbonate spacer in the front with 2 aluminum barrels. And now this aluminum, I don't know where the heck I got it, but it's a really nice finish, and it seems to nest perfectly into the 3/4 polyester tubing. So that's like not quite a brass fit, but it's a good fit. And I just have a little slot here for the breech rear load. And other than that, it's stock, like I said, just a rebarrel. So we'll close this up, and maybe I'll shoot a couple times in the basement here. Maybe we'll go outside. I haven't really decided yet. But anyways, aluminum plunger head, so that's kind of cool. And this is just a K25 spring. I don't really like putting K26s in these old shells because, you know, it's just not necessary anymore. And we'll talk about that more in a little while. Alright guys, so here's the Guru all together, and you know, I'm so happy with this blaster. I've wanted to make one for years, like basically since I saw the post on Nerf Haven, however long ago that was, but I never got around to it. And the couple crossbows that I did have, I never wanted to cut them, but then when I got this one and it was broken at the front, so I'm like, okay, now's your chance, you gotta do it. But anyways, like I showed you on the bench, breeched split fire. I got breech slots on both sides, and this just opens, load your darts, close, pump, 2 shots, nice long draw. That's like the max draw that you can get on a crossbow with this style handle. I don't like the other style handle because it's very uncomfortable to pull, and you don't really need to make these things shoot as hard as people used to, and you don't really want to push your luck too much going into the like crevice back here. So what I was gonna say is, like, The reason I don't like, I was saying this on the bench, the reason I don't like putting K26s in here is because like there's really no need to push this thing as far as we used to, because this used to be like one of the best platforms available. So you'd want to push this as far as you could, and this would be like your serious like war blaster. You actually went out and used this. But now like this is so old and antiquated. I don't really care to have this top tier performance. Because it ruins your shell at the end of the day. Like you can reinforce it all you want. Having a giant spring in here slamming around, like you dry fire this thing once or twice and you're done. So that's why I didn't do that. And also, like with today's darts, this is another thing that you have to take into consideration when you're doing all these NIC, like old school NIC builds. The darts that we used to use were not very aerodynamic, not very consistent, unless you were good at making darts. If you were good, and I used to be good, I made some good darts. But anyways, if you weren't that great at making them, they were inconsistent. They weren't aerodynamic to begin with. They were flat-faced with like felt on the front. And they were heavy. They were really heavy. So you needed like a large plunger tube and a pretty decent spring to propel these darts. And also, we ran hoppers, which is a totally other discussion of Nerf technology. It just relies on sheer volume of air to fire. Whereas singling blasters now, like everything's mag fed, which is singled in old NIC terms. You really don't need the plunger volumes that we were used to. That's why you see these plungers now, they're so tiny. The last big plunger blaster that is singled like mag fed is the Caliburn, and that was just sort of a artifact of the technology that had come before it. It really doesn't need a plunger tube that big to fire a single dart. But anyways, that's enough of my rant, ramble, whatever. That's why I didn't put a K26. I just want this thing to last. It shoots over 100 feet with your standard sort of worker dart or your silicone tip dart, whatever, your modern ammunition. And even the split fire is shooting pretty far, and it's just a stock with a rebarrel. But anyways, here's the seal. Pretty much perfect. It's quite good. It's not perfect, nothing's perfect, but it's a good seal. Nice, comfortable draw. You do have to cup your fingers just a little bit to get into that crevice, and I just wanted max draw. That's pretty much it, guys. I'm not going to go outside and fire it for you because I actually don't know where any of my old NIC barrels are. I don't know where that ended up. I used to have a really nice brass breech for my old crossbow and a CPVC breech. But I don't know, maybe I sold those somewhere along the way. I can't even find my hoppers. They're somewhere, but I don't have them. So maybe one day I will make a nice breech for this, and then I'll show you. But in the meantime, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. And just a little bit off topic here. If anyone would be interested in seeing how to make barrels for these old blasters, like if you're going to pursue this style of modding just for fun. I don't think they're really relevant in wars anymore, but just for fun. I'm going to do sort of some old NIC tips and tricks. We'll make some barrels together, maybe make some old darts together, just to preserve the hobby a little bit. I know I've sort of touched on this here and there, but it was a big part of my childhood and youth, and I'd like to make sure that that is preserved, if that makes any sense. They're still fun to build and fun to play with, even though they're probably not the best blaster on the field anymore. It's just kind of a quirky, old school NIC blaster, and they're super fun to use. So hope you enjoyed the build, guys, and I will talk to you again soon.